What is good? We're back. It's week one. We're almost the end of week one. We got live Monday Night Football going down. And big news right off the rip here. Seemingly a huge bummer. Aaron Rodgers down. No description on the injury, but
ankle,
vague, leg.
He's in a boot.
Yeah, not good. So big bummer right off the rip. Much anticipated game.
What?
A bummer right off the rip.
A bummer.
Right off the rip for the Jets, man. The look on Saleh's face was just devastation.
All gas, no brakes.
Yeah, no break, I think. No S on there.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
like Luke Musgraves.
We'll see what happens with Rodgers. Let's see if it's all gas with a break.
That was a good one. What are we doing? Let's get it started, fellas.
Yeah, so we'll see, how much Aaron Rodgers' mentoring has helped Zach Wilson here. We were hoping that you'd get 2 years of that and then maybe turn him back loose on the franchise, but he needs to step in right away, which seemed like things were really trending in the right direction for Zach Wilson, but this could be a step in the wrong direction for Zach Wilson. But a bummer because we were really hopeful for, a knockdown, drag-out fight here week one, Monday night. It's very rare that ESPN gets a good game and then they're cursed. Rodgers goes down first drive. So bummer for the Jets, man. I feel for him. I was really wanting to see Garrett Wilson and A-Raj. We'll see how long it keeps him out. Hopefully it's not all season. Defense probably good enough to hold him in some games, but they do have a tough schedule to start the season here. And that AFC East.
Yeah.
Just, Dolphins coming out swinging right away. I mean, Pats looked
Boutte
formidable.
wasn't playing college and drug that second foot down, then it might have been a different story.
If he wasn't so close to getting cut, maybe he would have been, able to drag that foot. All right, well, we'll get into all that. We got week one stuff. I feel like it's the week where you learn so much and nothing all at the same time. And what I mean by that is we got all this usage information and stats and what we saw, but that could be completely different by week 2 or 3, or we learned a lot that this is kind of how it was going to go, but we really won't know until you're a quarter or halfway through the season if what any of this really means. So we're going to go through and talk about some of that. We're going to go through some of these games. We're going to go through some of these games on Patreon in a little more depth with some more questions from the patrons. We'll do that on Wednesday. But let's get it rolling here. And I think right off the rip, we could probably start with a Sunday night matchup. Dallas Giants, bummer of a game.
Woof.
I got to go to bed early. That was
right.
Plus. Yeah, I went to bed early too.
The only plus going there. But, what we learned from Giants Dallas, I'm not sure that we learned a ton. I think these first 3 games, I don't think we had the ability of learning a terrible amount, either due to weather or just kind of the way the game unfolded right away. Like Dallas's defense, I'm not trying to take away anything from Dallas. That defense looked awesome, real fast. The D-line was all over him. They were smothering Daniel Jones, but they also got to be super comfortable. That first drive from the Giants, Daniel Jones was doing kind of what Daniel Jones does, run around a little bit, find some guys. Saquon was hitting holes. Then you get a block kick, goes back for a touchdown. That wasn't on the bingo card. And then you're down 7, and then all of a sudden things just, a tipped pick, and then things are all of a sudden unraveling for the Giants. And when you have a defense like the Cowboys were dominating, and now all of a sudden you're comfortable and you can pin your ears back. And credit to them, the Giants didn't make great. What's the word I'm looking for? Didn't make great changes. Didn't make great adjustments to what was going on, which in Dayball we trust. We that's why we were interested in a lot of what the Giants had going on. It's year 2, and I think you could take a lot of what we saw usage wise, everything from the Giants, crumble it up and throw it away. Yeah, the Cowboys offense was fine, but I don't think we really learned anything. The 3 wide receivers played a bunch where they should be playing. Pollard got his and was the main guy. Who's behind him? We don't really know. Ferguson seems like he's going to be the guy, led the team in targets, but Hendershot was working in there a good bit snap wise. Hendershot and Ferguson ended up really being a lot closer than I anticipated. So watch Ferguson with a little bit of bated breath there, but the 7 targets are nice. So, CD had a couple of plays. Brandon Cooks was getting some flowers in that game. So I think the Cowboys offense can be good. I just don't know that we didn't really see anything from it. They were comfortable. They didn't have to do a whole lot. So I don't think we got a good look at what that's going to be. Mike McCarthy was tickled with himself at halftime. He was so excited to be competing again, calling plays. And he couldn't have been happier. And then Kellen Moore loses week 1. What a day for Chubbs there. So
McCarthy had an extra big ice cream sundae last night.
He's on the team playing home.
Fuck, they probably had that at halftime.
Yeah.
They're up 26 at halftime.
Yeah, but also,
he's got pocket dogs in his pocket.
Oh, for sure.
Rafi.
Yeah. But Rainey Mess didn't help the situation. Now, I get it. We're playing football. You want draft all your teams in domes, whatever, yada yada yada. Daniel Jones, the haters are out week 1 taking victory laps. I told you he stinks. I think the first drive
are too close together.
The first drive we saw was a bit more indicative of kind of what we're going to see from Daniel Jones and why you liked him so much, because the floor was there. You saw him just picking up those easy rush yards, going to get you 20, 40 yards a game and potentially a touchdown rushing. And then we didn't even get to see all the new weapons. Not that they're great weapons, but they're definitely an improvement of what we had last year.
It was
Waller.
good to see that. It was good to see Jalen Hyatt hasn't changed with that huge drop.
Big drop. Yep. So, I think we can take. I don't think we learned a ton from that game, except for that the Dallas defense is fast and their front is going to get after you. I think we can kind of move on from that game. Next game on the docket here that I don't think we learned a ton from: Pittsburgh, San Francisco. I thought this was going to be a tight game.
You were worried.
I was super worried. I thought I would have taken Pittsburgh plus the 2.5 at home. That's just a tough deal. Week 1 coming across. That stadium's going to be rocking. They're into it. That offense had looked really good. They got not just one guy. That it's not just TJ Watt you have to worry about. They've got a whole front that can rush, and it's very effective. Niners line kind of question outside of left tackle. So complete opposite. You go there and Bosa, hadn't been in camp. We don't really know what's going on. We had some Greenlaw was banged up, wasn't practicing a lot. Gibson wasn't practicing a lot. They come out, looks like they hadn't missed a beat. Purdy coming off an injury, he comes out slinging, and all of a sudden the Niners are scoring 30 points.
And that's with TJ Watt getting 3 sacks.
Right, and a strip sack and I don't know how much we learned. That offense that we saw from Pittsburgh, that's not the offense that we're going to see. I think any of the usage, I don't really want to use it too much here.
You're not putting too much stock into 8 targets for Allen Robinson?
Now, see, Allen Robinson would be a waiver wire addition for me, especially if I had Deontay Johnson. And there's probably some other options, but he'd be down the list on me. But I think with Deontay maybe missing some games here, which maybe he will, maybe he won't, we'll stay tuned. It looked like there might be a game or two in his future that he misses. The hamstring can be tricky. But Allen Robinson, good showing. I thought, Calvin Austin hopped in there and ran the slot. And, he was decent too. I think I would go Allen Robinson in the pickups there. I thought George Pickens looked pretty good. Freiermuth, a little injury there. With a chest injury, he got slapped on the touchdown that he caught at the end of the first half there. And really the only score that you got from them was the Niners gave up three stupid penalties at the end of that first half, got them right down the field, and they went for it on 4th down and scored the touchdown. So
Pat saved his day with that touchdown.
Right.
One catch for 3 yards, but that one catch was a touchdown.
Right. So the end of the day, you saw Kenny Pickett had a bad pick in the beginning of the game. Receiver lost his footing. I think you're going to see better games from Kenny. I think you're going to see better games from this Pittsburgh offense called differently.
I don't know. I don't think Canada makes it through the season.
Maybe not. I have a feeling that's not how this team is going to operate. I don't think we really learned all that much from that game.
I mean, it's hard to take much from a game where they rushed the ball 10 times.
Right. Well, they were just getting, like, every turn they were just getting beat up. It was much like the Dallas game where that D-line was after them early and often, and then they got comfortable, and then the Niners are executing.
Score got out of hand.
Right. So it's hard to really glean any real information from.
But it's hard though for a guy who's very clearly on the hot seat.
With Canada?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, but he didn't let up 30 points.
No, but somebody's going to have to, if they're losing these games, who's going to get fired first? Tomlin or Canada?
Surely it's going to be Canada, but I don't think you're going to see many more like this. They do have Cleveland next week, which will be our next game, and they got after Burrow pretty well, and I think that's going to be kind of their MO. Schwartz is aggressive, so we can move to that game. Ayuk was great. For the Niners. Purdy was great for the Niners. Didn't seem to miss a beat. McCaffrey good. Debo good. It's just going to be – and Kittle a little banged up coming into that game, so not even quite at full strength there. Yeah. Just a nightmare. And I think once you get up that big, San Fran can stop showing you their hand at a we don't need to pull out any more tricks out of the bag. We don't need to do – we can just run our regular concepts and do our thing. Patrick Peterson eating a little bit of crow, saying that the Niners offense had tells and he was going to get some picks.
Yeah,
he did not.
There was tells.
He's played them a ton. He has 0 picks against San Francisco. He used to be a Cardinal.
Really, so, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, some people may not.
You didn't know he was a Cardinal, or you didn't know
I was fucking kidding.
Being facetious.
0 picks. I didn't know that.
That's a good stat.
Stat of the day.
Cleveland, Cincy again. Don't think we really learned a ton from this one. A mess of a game.
I saw someone posting about Joe Burrow's hand size. Get the fuck out of here with Joe Burrow's hand size. Are we really doing that still? Because he had one bad game.
That must have been a troll tweet. Was that for whom J Bell trolls?
No,
he's good at that.
He's muted, so I don't. He might have, but
he means well. He's fucking around. I like it.
Good guy. Had him on the pod.
Yeah,
but
he just doesn't like Penn State.
He'll troll. He'll troll.
Oh, he will.
But no, I don't think. I think Cleveland got after him, and Joe missed a lot of the off season there.
Same story from last season. You know?
That they got a good front. Schwartz is aggressive. That was a great quality add for Cleveland there with the pieces they already had on defense. I thought Cleveland played really well.
Darius White, is that what you said? Because that dude's on the Cleveland Browns causing wrecking.
Yeah. Well, they got some good.
Yeah,
back end players. They got a good rotation all the way through there, and Myles Garrett,
Zadarius White.
Yeah, formerly
he was a Packer, and then I think he went somewhere.
Former Baltimore Raven.
Maybe was he there last year?
Zadarius Smith is who you're thinking of.
Oh, not White.
Yeah, correct.
That's why I was confuzzled.
All right, so
good stat check.
Burrow bad day. T. Higgins a lot of targets. Nothing.
8
targets. Chase.
He had 8 targets.
Chase not a whole lot. Best thing you could take from that was the target share and the routes run by Irv Smith. He was out there. He put up a number that I believe Hayden Hurst had only put up with 20% route participation, I believe, or target share or something along those lines, where you only saw 3 or 4 times from Hayden Hurst last year. Positive for Irv. If he got space, he could be a potential waiver wire ad for a tight end. On the other side over there, Cleveland, there was people who were giving Joe Burrow a pass and then talking shit about Deshaun Watson. I think if you're giving Joe Burrow a pass, you got to give Deshaun a pass. It was gross and yucky. But what happened is Deshaun gave you the floor of what he can give you. He gave you that 40 yards rushing, it's some design runs, which is what we were excited about that we saw in the preseason, and then he scored a touchdown. Was the passing day awesome? No. He was short hopping some stuff. It didn't look great, but it was a mess out there. Burrow was struggling too. Obviously, look at the stat line. I thought Deshaun, played good. The Browns got the win. Chubb was as advertised, and then I saw some people kind of being upset about Nick Chubb getting replaced by Ford in a lot of situations. But what the positive is Chubb was 4 for 4 receiving. If we can be in the 3 to 5 every game for Chubb receiving, like we're stoked.
Plus, everyone needs to settle down on these week 1 usage. Like, it's interesting to see, and I want to see what there are some interesting storylines, but with like Chubb, like they were up towards the end of that game. You don't need to force the issue with these studs. You can ease them into this long ass season. Like, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with the easing in a little bit of the rushing. Like, it's just, that is
Well,
what
and
it is.
Chubb's getting all the goal line and short yardage work too, so he's in there in the money downs.
Yeah, you got Chubb getting
4 for 4 targets. That's a good one.
4 for 4 target. Yeah, Chubb getting 2 to nothing goal line work, 30 to 16 early down work. These are 36 to 30. Chubb all downs played, short down and distance, 1 carry for Chubb. Third down, 9 carries to 3 for Ford. So
Yeah, that's what I'm
there's
looking
what
at here,
people
too.
are
Yep.
maybe a little upset about. 2 minute, all Ford in the 2 minute, or 4 no backs, which I would assume is Elijah Moore being moved in and out of that. So, some people were a little upset about that usage there and just saying same old, but I didn't see it that way. But I did thought Ford looked pretty good. He did have a fumble in there, I believe.
Bad
He
fumble.
did. It was bad fumble.
Thought it
But
was
there was
Chubb
times where I didn't know that Chubb was in, like that I didn't know Chubb was out, and Ford looked pretty good. And it's telling to me that Ford was injured for a long stretch there and came right in and got pretty much all the usage for the backup. So
What about
41% of the snaps.
What about Cooper running the third most routes for the wide receivers?
So that he got banged up early in that
Okay.
game, and then I think it
Okay.
was kind of wet.
I was
and
watching
nasty.
I was watching Red Zone yesterday.
Yeah,
watching
he got
kids,
his knee
so-
checked out early.
Okay.
He kind of had to
Okay.
come back on a ball and kind of split a little bit, and so I think
Still
that was
tied for the team leading
precautionary.
target, so, yeah.
Precautionary there. But I was excited to see, the Browns be able to pull. I took the Browns week 1, so that was a nice little dub there. I did not bet on the Steelers, but I would have taken the Steelers. But Browns, nice victory there. So I don't think we learned a ton from Cincy Cleveland because of how the weather was and kind of how that game played out. So I don't know how much we learned in
I
those
mean, I
3
think you
games.
can take some things
Sure.
from it. Like Mixon's going to be a workhorse back.
Sure.
I think you know what I mean.
You know,
Chubb's,
Williams
you
and
knew
Evans.
that about Mixon for sure. I mean, I think it's the Browns can pull out victories and muddy it up
Yeah.
and win and find ways to score and move the ball. And I think that's
well, they've got it seems like they're going to run a lot of 3 wide receivers. So
at Pittsburgh next week. This AFC North is just slobber knocking
the
it up.
Bengals
the first
have
couple
Ravens.
Weeks. Yep.
So
oh wow, okay.
tough sledding there for those 2 teams first couple of weeks. So let's keep it moving though. We'll go Baltimore Texans next. Obviously, injury there was a bummer. You had J.K. Dobbins go down, who was looking like he was going to just eat up all sorts of passing down usage and running down usage. He got hurt on a pass catch, I believe, and it was just he went down weird. Seems like an Achilles. Seems like he's done for the year. That would put,
He's definitely done for the year.
that would
I
put,
think they ruled it.
and
He's scheduled for surgery.
and potentially career.
Well, yeah.
You coming back from a knee from 2 years ago and now an Achilles. That's a fucking bummer, man. Sucks for JK. You got glimpses of what could be, and that's a real bummer. So Justice Hill, Gus Edwards, waiver ads. I'm not really. We can talk a little bit about more when we get to the waiver ad area and Melgo.
Yeah, I don't know if it's too much about Melgo.
Also, a Ronnie Stanley injury for their offensive line, as well as Linderbaum, their center. So it's something to monitor there. And going back to the Browns real quick, Conklin for them, knee injury, most likely done for the year.
Yeah,
That's
big,
huge.
big injury for them too.
Yeah.
And a big injury for the potential big injury, Andrew Thomas, even though he was god awful against the Cowboys, also injured.
I mean, in his defense, Micah does make people look silly.
Sure, but he was looking particularly silly.
Yeah.
There. So Ronnie Stanley and their center Linderbaum both being evaluated for seriousness of injury there. So something to just monitor. I like to watch O-line injuries throughout the season. Actually, Sleeper now has, if you click on the matchup before the game, it gives you the injury report.
Yeah,
and sometimes it is kind of hard to see. Nobody likes to share the offensive lineman, defensive. It's only the fantasy relevant guys. Sometimes those guys make the guys fantasy relevant or not.
Yeah.
So those are things that I like to keep tabs on. So 3 bummer injuries for the Ravens right off the rip, which it always seems like they're a little plagued injury wise. Ronnie Stanley, I don't think, has played a full game in 7 years or full season in 7 years. So That's a bummer. But, you know, what I glean from the Baltimore thing is we got to give our guy Flowers some flowers here, right? I mean, is there any question that he is the number one wide receiver for the Baltimore Ravens right now?
No.
It can't be, right? That was a great showing from him, even though the Ravens in general just weren't great. You know,
he looked exactly like he did in college. He looked
Right.
exactly like he did in the preseason.
Win here against
Right.
Houston.
Right.
It looked like it was Houston, but it looked
Offense
like they
didn't
couldn't
look
tackle
great.
him. Looked like they couldn't tackle Zay Flowers.
Right. And they moved him around a little bit. Didn't matter who was guarding him. He seemed like he could kind of do whatever he wanted out of there.
Wherever on the field he wanted.
9
short,
receptions
deep.
for 78 yards. Ran the ball twice. So that was really good to see there. He seems to be first in the pecking order. I'm not really sure how Mark Andrews being out affects him. But either way.
It sounds like that probably is going to affect Rashad Bateman more because he was third in snaps ran or routes ran maybe. You probably have that data, but I was reading something about how Bateman was like third in line, and when Mark Andrews comes back and they run these two tight end sets.
Well, so he would most likely be the odd man out. Bateman could potentially beat Odell out if he's not up to snuff here, but it was Aguilar and Bateman kind of vying for that third. 24 snaps for Aguilar, 8 routes run, 25 snaps for Bateman, 17 routes run. So more active in the routes run. 3 targets for Bateman, none for Aguilar. So interesting there. And then likely was in a seemingly a glorious spot, and then Bupkis there, nothing doing for likely. So it would seem that when Mark Andrews comes back in, he will command a certain.
Well, that Andrews changes the whole offense, too.
Right, sure. But this offense, this was one of the offenses that I was really interested. It didn't look awesome.
I mean, maybe
week
with
one.
the injury to Dobbins and the injuries to Stanley and Linderbaum could make them pass more.
It certainly may.
Seems likely.
They weren't operating super great. Lamar didn't look super sharp. But
It's week 1.
it is week 1, and it's a new offense. But love Zay Flowers. Probably already moving up some rankings. We got a nice schedule for you. We got week 1, week 2. We're going to kind of do this. Week 3, we're going to be talking. We're going to do a new 2024 rookie mock, and then week 4, we're going to hit you with a 24 re-ranking the top 24 rookies. Week 5, we're going to hit you with redoing our dynasty rankings. So we got a nice little schedule coming up for you, but we're going to keep hitting you with these live shows each and every week.
Patreon live shows Wednesdays.
On Wednesdays or Thursdays. Sometimes we do the live hang for the Thursday night game, so kind of mixing those in all season long. Be sure to check that out. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment below, all that jazz. If you're liking what we're putting down here, we'll be here all season.
We talk about the other side of the ball real quick there with Nico. Looks like him and Woods are clearly the top 2 guys there, and there was a lot of Tank Dell love going into the season, but he was 4th on the teams in snaps, so obviously a rookie still. So
right. So the breakdown there is 58 snaps for Bobby Woods, 40 routes run, 55 snaps for Nico Collins, 39 routes run, 10 targets for Bobby, 11 targets for Nico. Noah Brown gets out there. I think he's a good blocker.
He's a great blocker
for them. So he's out there, but he did run more routes than both of them, but only 4 targets.
Yeah. He ran 2 more routes than Woods and 3 more routes than Nico.
Right.
I'm not really worried about
Tank
that.
Dell comes in 37 and 25 with 4 targets. The PFF had an interesting stat here with Tank Dell playing significantly in 11 personnel, taking Nico's place in 11 personnel, which is interesting.
That is interesting.
Didn't love that.
No, I didn't even realize.
Also weird, I'm not really sure. That was a little note I read from PFF. All the data we're giving you right now is mostly from PFF, and I'm sure some of it will change a couple points here or there, so don't come back and say, it could change to 53 snaps and 46 routes run, a little bit. Some percentages could change a hair, but this was the early data available, so that's what we went with. But that was an interesting little tidbit.
That is interesting
there. But Nico did look really good, looked like their guy, and I think Bobby Trees is back to a waiver wire ad for sure.
Yeah,
that's in redraft.
I was really high on Nico until I saw that stat. That's kind of makes me a little bit of a.
They have him as a sell high. I wouldn't go that far. I think you're still developing. You're still
Yeah, that seems like an overreaction from 1 week.
Right. But Tank Dell getting out there, getting 4 targets. Interesting. Xavier Hutchinson played a little bit. He's my guy. Keep him on the back burner. Dalton Schultz, very encouraging. Didn't have a great game, but playing all 62 snaps, basically. I believe that was all they had, right? Where's quarterback? 77. So played a lot more snaps than any other offensive skill position player with 62, 49 routes run, and 4 targets.
Ran the most routes, too.
Right. So very, very encouraging for your Schultz there. The Ravens were just, that's a tough matchup. Week 1, rookie quarterback, just kind of a brand new team feel, kind of rookie coach. Defense, I thought, played pretty well throughout most of that game, but tough sledding there for the Houston Texans Week 1 and C.J. Stroud. But give him credit. Stroud didn't back down. Stroud had a nice post-game press conference, basically kind of motivating everybody, saying, "Hey, I got to adjust. You guys you guys are blocking your tails off."
Yeah, certainly something to look forward to there. Didn't look terrible from playing against a good defense. So
I agree, man. I thought that was all right.
Might have looked this. I don't know. It's hard to say with these rookies who look the best.
Good and mobile though.
Yeah, I mean, he had 4 carries for 20 yards.
Around.
If you can get 20 to 50 yards in a game, adds up a lot over the season.
Oh, for sure. So on the other side of that, with the running back usage, a little bit of a bummer for Dameon Pierce here for the way that he was being used. Far cry from the preseason. I also think that could have been kind of the way that game script was going as well.
I think that was mostly great game script.
Like, hey,
I did shout out our guy JB on the Twitters.
It's a fair point, and week 2, week 3, we shall see. But
something to monitor.
It is certainly something to monitor. I'm not panicking yet. I wouldn't put that on the panic radar, but it could have just been, hey, this game's going a certain way. It's a bit of a slobber knocker, and we're gonna put Boone and Singletary out there a little more often. But still high hopes for Pierce. Still my guy. So next game here, let's hit up Seattle Rams. One of the bigger unexpected.
I wasn't even expecting that.
Lines here. So Seattle comes in and really just lays an egg here.
Rams look like a brand new team in the second half.
So injuries in this game, you had Abraham Lucas, the tackle, and Charles Cross, the tackle for Seattle. Both get injuries. They're not sure exactly what the length of.
They said Cross is week to week. They're already bringing in Jason Peters already for a workout today.
Yeah, so bummer there for those 2 tackles. Those were the rookie tackles who played all season long for them last year and had high hopes. So that was a bit of a bummer for the Seattle Seahawks right off the rip. My biggest mistake of week 1 is I benched Tua to play Geno, thinking Tua going on the road to the Chargers, Staley going to have the defense dialed in because that's kind of what he does, and Geno at home versus the Rams. Yeah. Just young, got a whole bunch of new starters on defense.
Oh, yeah.
Geno going to come in there and just go to town, and it didn't cost me the win, but
Seattle.
I had Tua in there fucking since December of last year, and I pulled him out 2 minutes before the game started. Too much tinkering, too much time on my hand.
If it's 2 minutes before the game starts, unless you just haven't looked at it at all day, it's not the time to be making moves.
Yeah.
I did not. Speaking of bingo card, I didn't have the Rams only giving up 14 yards of offense in the second half of my bingo card.
Rams just looked really, really good there. The defense was a huge surprise.
Well, I think Seattle being without their other rookie, without being the rookie corner, definitely, because that's what they said. McVay was just picking on their backup corner the whole game.
Right, and so you had some positives and some negatives. We'll keep on the Seattle side. Charbonnet, a bit of a surprise there for usage wise. You didn't see a ton of Charbonnet really.
He had 3 touches.
Right, and was out there, and the splits are all kind of weird. And the 2 minute, all 5 going to DJ Dallas was odd to me. Didn't see that coming.
I think what Big D was talking about in our in the group chat makes a lot of sense. That Charbonnet is still a rookie. DJ Dallas knows the offense. They feel confident about him being able to pass block. So I think that makes a lot of sense.
Third downs were split 3 to Kenny Walker, 3 to DJ Dallas, and 1 to Zach Charbonnet. Short yardage were all Kenny Walker, 3. All snaps, 29 for Kenny Walker, 8 for DJ Dallas, 9 for Zach Charbonnet, and 4 two-back sets there early down and distance, 23 to Kenny Walker, 8 to Charbonnet, and then 4 in the 2-back sets. So just not really what we saw there. Great for our guy Kenny Walker, and guess what? Kenny could still catch. How about that? I think he caught them all like fucking Pokemon out there. Just ass catch them. Just catching them all, bro.
Was that meme or that little Instagram reel going around where he's like the big dude that's he spent all this money on fishing equipment? Like, are other people spending $9,000 on fishing equipment? I don't know. Do they want to catch them all? If they want to catch them all, they're serious about catching them all. Kenny 3-Stick serious about catching them all.
Oh, yeah. He came out there. I think he went 5 for 5. Receiving stat line.
5 for 4.
5 for 4. All right. Didn't catch them all. Well, better luck next time.
Gotta catch them most.
But Kenny looked good, especially coming off the groin injury. Wasn't sure what you were going to get there. Thought we for sure were going to get more Charbonnet.
Yeah, I benched Kenny, and I played Charbonnet. I didn't bench Kenny for Charbonnet, but I benched Kenny and then played Charbonnet in other spots.
I didn't play Kenny anywhere I had him either, so that was a bit of a bummer. But
I played Kenny in the only spot I had him.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't awesome, but it wasn't terrible. So, I don't know how that usage is going to play out there, but it's certainly something to monitor. I thought there would be more Charbonnet off the rip. Maybe not as big of a deal as anybody initially thought. Maybe that shoulder's an issue for Charbonnet all of a sudden. I don't know.
Also, they were playing from behind.
They were. But some people were saying that maybe that would be where Charbonnet would come in and really shine. So,
3-Sticks, he missed one. He only caught 4 or 5.
He caught us already. Yeah. Right. Our stats guy, he's on it. We got a good guy. You just keep monitoring that chat. So on the other side, though, receiver wise for Seattle, no big stink there. I don't think.
I mean, you got DK to save his day with a touchdown, but I mean, it was just not good offensively. No, 3 points from Lockett, 4 points from JSN.
Right, which I'm not starting JSN. I wasn't starting JSN to start the season anyway. Yeah. But just nice to see him out there. Kind of wish he wouldn't be out there if there was some sort of a wrist issue, but just get out of him unscathed, and we'll see what happens. DK being a little bit of a BITCH ass at points in that game.
Bitch ass, hoe ass, bitch ass, mark ass trick.
Seemed like there was parts of that game that weren't great. But moving over to the other side, on the Rams side, there's a guy that I've been told time and time again that don't even bother drafting him. All the historical data says don't do it. It's never, ever going to work. I saw like 15 tweets yesterday of how there is no way that a 5th-round player on a bad offense could ever work. And guess fucking what? It worked. 15 targets, 10 receptions, 119 yards for Puka Nacua.
I thought you were talking about Tutu.
Sure. But he's a 2nd-round pick, so that's...
but he's 5'6" and weighs 160 pounds.
Outlier. So that made me so excited. I love nothing more than when things like this happen, and that people like Shane is the worst are out there telling you that it'll never happen because of historical data. That's just some lazy shit people want to say because you don't want to do the actual work. Yeah, if you don't want to do the work and you want to do historical data all day long, you know what? You'll probably come out on the right side of things because you'll know the trends, you'll know the percentages. But every year, you need to go put that work in and figure out which outlier you're going to bet on because that shit works too. And guess what? If Puka Nacua is just fine for a couple more games, you took him in the 4th round, you increased value already. Your value's increased. Yeah. You won. You fucking won with your 4th-round pick.
Was that a deal we saw in the with the pleasure chesters? Somebody was already offering up like Drake London a 1st for Nacua and a couple other pieces.
Yeah, that can't be real. But that's hype gets out of control. And then I saw people already. Nate Liss was on fire today on Twitter. He was shitting on Puka Nacua and just like look, Cooper Kupp's going to come back and and then what? Then what do you expect? And it's like, well, is he? Like how sure are we Cooper Kupp's coming back ever to be Cooper Kupp again?
Yeah,
and how long?
Even if he does, it looks like Puka can easily slot in as a number 2 there.
Could get a role
because Van had a really bad drop.
And we all thought it was going to be Van, and Puka came in and crushed, took advantage, and I get it, like saying that when Cooper's in there, he's the hog. You had the hog with Nacua here. I don't need Nacua to get what he just got. I
don't need 24. I don't need 25. I could get like
if
10
he's getting 5 for 50, that's fantastic.
Money in the bank.
So again, I don't mean to just talk shit to all those guys. They're all good analysts. They all do their thing. It drives me insane when you come in here and tell me that there's no chance and you cite historical data and you're so fucking staunch about it. And it happens every single year. We had all these dudes come on in the industry draft and tell us that you can't take a wide receiver in the 3rd and 4th round. That's just not fucking true. It's
then who are you taking in the 3rd and 4th round?
All the backup running backs. That's it. That's the only people you can take because they're going to gain the value
on
the
the
fastest.
53. How did Deuce Vaughn do for you this year?
Michael Wilson already improved value. If you drafted him when we were doing that draft, he was a 4th to a 3rd already, and then he played every fucking snap for them offensively. That's what we thought was going to happen. He was going to stay out wide because he gives him and Hollywood didn't really come off the field. If they have Kyler Murray in there right now, Michael Wilson's value is taking another uptick. Like they could have I think the Cardinals would have kicked the shit out of the Commanders if Kyler Murray was out there.
Yeah,
So I just this silliness of like the staunch way of talking about it just drives me crazy, and this made me really happy. Again, those guys are great. They're crushing it. They do put in the work. I'm not trying to slight them like that, but I just like to come on here.
I don't think everything can be black and white.
Right.
Just come about it differently with tone, and I won't have to say. We won't say anything.
We get it, man. I like all that historical data stuff is very important.
You're just trying to be so cool with the staunchness,
and you just want to do less work. Like we had plenty of guys come on here during the fucking industry draft and basically tell us that we were getting shit wrong, watching too much film, spending too much time. But hey, we can get this a little more right and spend way less time doing anything by just playing the fucking numbers. I get it, man. You should. But you should also take and you got to be able to find there's an edge there. And I'm not going to ever stop doing that. And you can criticize me all I want. I had tight ends help me make deals in drafts this year, which you're never supposed to draft those guys. And they were, it wasn't even good tight ends. It was, it was just okay tight ends that helped get a deal done. Tight end premium. It just, it happens, man. Just stop being so aggressively down on these broad blanket statements of things. Everything, like you said, does not need to be black and white. Puka Nacua has increased value and looks like he belongs out there. I don't think he's going anywhere. He's been in Cooper Kupp's pocket the entire time he's been there.
Maybe he's at the breakfast table.
I mean, maybe he is. If he isn't, he's about to be. So
he's getting that invite, dog.
Yeah. So obviously,
he just come sit down. He doesn't even need an invite.
Priority ad with Puka this week. You can
all formats.
Right.
He might be available in some of your dynasties. Like
Tutu available.
Probably an FFPC.
It's certainly possible that he's out there. And they did have one round of waivers before football started. It was on Wednesday, I think. So Puka, if he was out there, probably got
Van might have been the ad over.
Could have been. Tutus could potentially be out there as well.
Sure, I don't.
And he looked like he belonged too. They looked like a formidable offense out there, and I don't know
what a surprise having a healthy Matthew Stafford actually makes your team actually play well through the air.
Right. So let's pivot then to Kyren and Akers. Panic for Akers. Not 100% sure yet.
Pumping the brakes there. I mean, I think I saw that he had negative 40 rushing yards over expectation this week.
Mm-hmm.
So
right, and I think I saw
over expected drink.
I think I saw one of the underdog guys. Maybe Hayden post that Akers was slotted for more receiving yards than some of the wide receivers from round 2 or 3 this week, and it just nobody really saw this coming potentially. But again, Kyren Williams was somebody who was dead. Who definitely couldn't be good because
he ran a 4.6 at the combine.
Right, there's no chance. Forget all the game film that he put out there. That was awesome, and he was small. He got hurt last year, so forget him. He's done. Well, he stayed on all of my rosters. I traded in for the 4th round pretty much all last year. I got Kyren in a lot of places, so this was really nice to see.
Yeah.
On all carries, it was 53-28 Kyren. On early downs, it was 33-24 Kyren. On goal line, 2 for 2, Kyren. Short yardage, 1-0, Kyren. 2-minute, 5-0, Kyren. Third down, 12-2, Kyren.
65% of the snaps there.
Yeah.
So that is definitely Kyren's an ad for sure.
Sure.
If you can get him on there, it looked good. And I don't even think you saw what could be his best asset is that some of the passing game work.
Yeah.
0 for 2 in the passing game, but there was some targets there. So I thought Kyren looked good. Now, look, Akers could have easily got those 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He got one.
He did get one.
Could be a little bit of I'm pumping the brakes off of 1 week on Akers. I'm not panicking yet. I think it's the same thing we're feeling that we were talking about a little bit earlier with some of the other players. But you can't panic after 1 week.
Right.
Or can you?
All right. Let's.
I mean, you shouldn't. You can do whatever you want to do. It's your team. You can do whatever the hell you want to do. I'm not panicking after 1 week on any player, except obviously J.K. Dobbins. You should be panicking there.
Let's.
We'll have a whole discussion about it.
Right.
Let's do these next 2.
I'll run through these next 2 real quick. Pats, Eagles. Weird start for the Pats there, and for them to come back and make that a game that could have ended with the Pats, coming out of there with a win. It was, again, bad weather game, couple of, bad turnovers to start that game to help the Eagles get rolling, which is not in the position you want to be. But the Eagles offense didn't look great, and I think some of that is weather. Some of that's the Pats defense is going to be good this year. McCorkle Jones was very good, bounced back and was very good in that game. I think, you could say this might be the least talented wide receiver core in the or desirable wide receiver
find
core.
Another worse receiving.
You would have maybe said the Rams were there week 1, but now doesn't look so bad. And Pat's Kendrick Bourne out there just leading the way.
At least the Rams have an All-Pro on IR. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
like the Patriots don't have any help coming in.
What do you mean, Devontae Parker? I called you before the game. I said I can't believe nobody's talking about Hunter Henry. And he absolutely came. I was like, he's going to slay today. He came out and slayed today. I think he's going to continue to slay.
You know who did not slay yesterday?
Who's that?
Dallas Goedert.
Dallas Goedert did not slay. He didn't fuck yesterday for sure. That was a huge letdown. That's not indicative of what's going to continue to take place there. But that was a bummer. Bourne leading the way. Could be a waiver wire ad if you're through wide receiver and needy.
Yeah, there's a bunch of interesting guys here. I'm looking at the targets.
Every one of their wide receivers pick them up.
The Patriots did throw the ball 54 times.
Right, which isn't going to happen normally. 73 snaps for Bourne, 54 routes run, most on the team. Boutte coming in at number 2 in snaps and routes run, 55 and 43. Juju, but 7 targets for Juju on 73 routes run and 27.
Pop Douglas with seven targets.
Pop Douglas is been a waiver wire dynasty ad. If he isn't,
I picked him up after a couple rookie drafts.
You got a deeper redraft league. I'll scoop any of these. Somebody's I think got to come out and be the guy, and they've liked Pop for a minute here throughout the offseason.
And he was banged up at the end of the preseason too, so obviously encouraging for him. I mean, he's still fourth and behind Boutte, but I mean, offers a bit of dynamism that a lot of the other guys don't have.
I wonder if there was any caution with Juju and the way the game was, a slot fest out there of maybe him.
Well, did you hear the reports that were coming out that said Juju's knee could explode at any point or
so
something like that?
maybe there was a little caution with the slot fest that was going on. I don't know. Maybe they just wanted to get Boutte and they does something else that they like. Well, there's something to monitor here. The snaps, obviously no Devontae Parker, Hunter Henry. 63 snaps, 42 route runs, 6 targets, the tud. So Hunter Henry, just a waiver wire boss. You should be adding him at a tight end position. And then, the Ramondre Zeke conundrum here. Ramondre coming in with an illness, stomach bug. But all snaps, Ramondre 48 to Ezekiel Elliott 18 to 2-back sets 10. Early down.
And you know that you don't want to see Zeke fumbling week 1 with Belichick there either.
Sure, but they did cut. They brought him back out there. Early down, 21 Ramondre to Zeke's 10 to 2-back 7. Short yardage, 2-back 1. Third down, 7 Ramondre, 4 Zeke, 2-back. The 2-minute was 19-1 in Ramondre's favor, which is great. Goal line was a 2-point conversion with Zeke there near the end of the game. So don't really know how that is going to pan out. I think that was mostly good for Ramondre seeing that. Ramondre looked pretty good.
Especially if you're saying he had a stomach bug as well, too.
6 targets for Ramondre and 5 targets for Zeke. So that's a little,
Again, I think that's more indicative of them playing from behind the entire game.
Agreed. 12 carries for Ramondre, 7 carries for Zeke. So I feel fine with Ramondre all season, but Zeke could have a little bit of standalone.
I mean, I guess Zeke was probably probably drafted in most redraft leagues. So
I would assume so. Maybe later round, but I mean, could potentially be an ad. It could be some potential standalone there from the targets you just saw. Potentially getting some goal line work. So Eagles side, I think everything was pretty standard. Kenny Gainwell got the run that they were saying he was going to get. Penny inactive.
Yeah.
So Swift.
I think other than the lack of Goddard, everything was pretty.
Swift's got to be on your bench, right? Goddard stays in your lineup, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a better option than Goddard than.
I mean, Gainwell, it seems like you could fire up Gainwell next week. If you're,
I might want to be on a wait and see.
I'm going to see what happens with the injury report with
It
Penny.
seemed like he did a lot and only had like 11 fantasy points. So
he had 4 targets, 14 carries, 16 routes run, 41 snaps. So, Swift got 1 carry and 2 targets. So it bodes well for game. Then Boston Scott, the most obnoxious goal line buzzard. The only goal line carry. It's so odd. It's so odd.
How is he a goal line back? He's like 5'7".
It's so odd. All right, so let's keep it rolling. Dolphins, Chargers, maybe the most fun game of the week.
For sure.
Slugfest. People out there already throwing shade at Herbert. Like, maybe he's just not elite. I'm like, I thought he played fucking good. They lost at the end of the game. Cover Tyreek Hill. How about that? Like, what are you doing playing man-to-man? Like, what?
And how do you get beat with a guy that size on a fade route?
Like, what's happening here? Like, do something. Staley, bad plan. Staley, maybe first coach out?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
I feel good enough that it probably won't happen. I'm under the impression that maybe Kellen Moore is there to take his place whenever the time is right. They got the guy right there waiting in the wings.
Who would I guess to be the first coach fired?
Rivera.
I was gonna say Riverboat, yeah, but at least he got that week 1 dub against the
first quarterback
Cardinals.
yanked Tannehill. Malik looked decent in the preseason. I just think if things keep going as poorly as they will, we're going to talk Titans Saints Patreon. We're going to talk Denver Raiders Patreon. So be sure to go check that out. But Dolphins Chargers here. Interesting game. I thought the Chargers were well balanced on offense, which I think when you think of Kellen Moore, you don't think of a balanced attack, but he is fairly balanced.
They were actually more run heavy than I thought too. I think they were
16 for each.
I think they were 55-45.
Yeah,
in terms of the run,
and they were crushing it. I mean, both guys. Well, Kelly didn't quite go over 100, but he was right. He was knocking on the doorstep.
He had 91 on the touchdown.
Looked good for sure. The number 2 there, no questions asked. Standalone value potentially big waiver wire addition for me there. He'd be high up on the ad list, and Zeke or. People were a little concerned with the catches of Eckler and kind of what he was. I think Eckler's going to be just fine. Did pop up on the injury report here late before we came on. Said
24
ankle,
24 routes.
Right. So I'm not worried about Eckler. He was awesome. I thought the Chargers offense. I mean, you put up 30 points, you expect to win. And right at the end of that game, on the second to last possession, because the Chargers had possession, the last possession of the game to try to go down. 2 sacks in a row from the Dolphins and that Fangio defense to end it. But when they kicked the field goal, the play before that, Keenan Allen absolutely cooks whoever he had on a whip, and he was furious that he didn't get the ball. And Herbert's looking the other way. He's wide open. That ends the game. They were already up 3 or whatever, I think at that point. So they elect to kick, which Staley I thought was a little bit more of a gambling man, but they kicked it, went up and couldn't hold Tyreek, and Tua comes right back and gets him again. I thought running game looked good from Mostert. I think if
it's all a matter of when he's going to get banged up.
Right. But so with no Jeff Wilson in there, Mostert feel free to fire away. I thought Tyreek was unbelievable. He could go for 2K here. Keenan Allen was great. Could have had more, like I said. Mike Williams already was out of the game, came back in.
Mike Williams banged up. Wow,
Quentin Johnston had a couple of shots. They took a shot with him. I think it'll be a matter of time before he's worked in a little bit.
I mean he ran 16 routes to Palmer's 31. So.
Right, and injuries and as the season goes, I think you'll see
one of Allen or Williams is getting injured here very soon,
or it could be Palmer.
Could be Palmer, could be all three of them. Hell if I know. You know what I mean?
Gerald Everett and Parham. I think you that's it. You can't be excited about. I was a little excited about a late round Everett there, but I think
probably just
your boy Parham.
Yeah, and I like Parham a lot, but the way they were using him, their routes, they were using Everett a little bit more on blocking than they were from last year, and they were kind of interchangeable on pass routes according to PFF. So, but Parham could have had 2 touchdowns, but still only 3 for 21 there, but could have had 2 touchdowns. Parham is a very interesting player. I just don't know how much juice he has unless one of the others hurt. Now on the other side, Smythe.
Played every snap.
Played every single snap. Could have had a TD that I believe
wire ad there.
River Craycraft Dynasty tight end premium waiver wire ad. Played a ton of snaps. Caught I think 3 balls. Had 7 targets.
What a name.
Could have had a touchdown.
Smythe me, oh mighty Smither.
Him and I believe Craycraft ran drags across the end zone, and they were layered. And you even saw Smythe kind of like jump up like it was overthrown to him, but it was thrown right over. But Tua could have thrown it to him too. They were both open, so there was an opportunity for a touchdown there for Smythe, which would have had an even better snap. But playing every snap, where they don't have it, the tight end was such a question mark for the Dolphins. Stash him, throw him on the bottom of the bench, see what happens.
Yeah.
So all right, let's get out of here. Let's go into panic or no panic, or are you panicked? Are you not panicked? What are you thinking about these guys?
I don't think I can be panicked on any player.
Sure.
That's not named J.K. Dobbins.
Let's see if we can do it.
I think that's fair enough, but we're going to play the game anyway. Week 1, why not? Let's have a little bit of fun.
No, we're not having any fun.
I'm having
zero fun, sir.
Go back to your shanties.
Speak for yourself.
All right, so some games we didn't cover. Panthers, Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
Are we panicking? Drake London, Pitts.
I think you have to be a little bit panicked, and here's why. They won.
Mm-hmm.
Arthur Smith doesn't give a fuck what you think, okay? Yeah. And they won handily. Now, Panthers, they got some stuff to figure out. I thought their defense held strong initially.
Horn went down right around the midpoint of that game.
Oh, maybe that was it. Yeah, and
not that it mattered because Drake London didn't get any balls.
No, he had 1 target, and Pitts had 2 targets,
right.
And one of them was an amazing catch. Right. It was amazing, but the fact that they're gonna win, and they have, Bijan was everything you ever wanted to see, and Algier was out there off the rip.
Well, looking
great.
If you recall the beginning of last season, until somebody went down in that offense, it was like 10 carries, 10 carries, 10 carries for all the backs, right?
Yeah, it was until I don't know, some jag went down.
Huntley, maybe?
Yeah, Caleb Huntley. Yeah, that's who it was.
Until Algier bust out for 1,000, but he picked up right where he left off.
Bijan had a 33% target rate, though. That is fantastic.
Bijan's just incredible. He has Lamar Jackson type twitch for
and it's okay for them to kind of slow bring him along.
Please
and say,
do. Hey, please do. We don't need.
You got a stud.
You could win every play with him.
Algier is a good back,
right? No, for sure. There's no doubt that he's a good back. You can't. There's no arguments here.
But back to Drake London and Kyle Pitts. They're going to be in more competitive games, and it was competitive. It was like tied in the first half.
He still ran
the second half.
They still ran the most routes of any of the pass catchers.
Sure.
So they're out there. They're out there just running wind sprints.
Right.
Or blocking. You know what I mean? Like, who are they throwing the ball to?
I still love both those players. The talent is there, and if you're playing Dynasty, then you should not be panicking. You should not panic sell Drake London and Kyle Pitts. But I don't want to play Drake London if I can help it.
But the week you don't, he's going to pop off for
that's fine.
10, you know what I mean?
That's fine. He's on my bench right now.
You're also not going to be playing. You're not going to be in this game script situation where you only have to pass 18 times most games. They're playing a rookie quarterback in his first start in a divisional game on the road. Or were they in Carolina? They were in Atlanta.
No, that was
right?
at Atlanta.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can get away with a little bit more. And Arthur Smith is going to play that Tennessee Titan brand football when he's allowed to. And I think they can open it up. You saw Ritter throw a little bit more at the end of the season. Thought he maybe had some promise there. You saw the attempts uptick a little bit. And it's okay to also bring Ritter along. Like, hey, if we don't have to do this with basically our rookie quarterback, let's not. Let's go get the win. Let's get some confidence. Let's keep going. Every game's not going to be like this. We're going to have to get in there, get dirty, and throw the ball around a little bit. But there are certainly going to be games where they can get away with just how they played. Yeah. Because they've improved their defense, and they've got an awesome running game. Like, they are going to smash you.
Yeah. And that's the thing. They're going to, I mean, you can, you know what I mean? You bring Algier in there, and then you have him work the defense, and then you just give the ball to Bijan and just let him cook, because Algier's going to wear that defense down, and then Bijan's going to break off some 60 and 70-yard carries in that offense.
Right. So, yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Jason. I'm still fine with both Drake London and Pitts. I know that they're good players.
Again, I was higher on London, but the Pitts hype has just been. I get it. Well, I get it.
It would already have exploded if there was passes. He gets open.
He's in the worst. He's in the worst offense.
Right.
For him.
It's a situation, and sometimes that it is what it is, man. Like, if you don't want to buy into Pitts, it's fine. I'll buy Pitts and Drake at every stop, and at some point, I think you'll get a change.
Whether
one way or another,
whether it's him or the offense.
Right.
What is this, year 3 in the offense? Year 3, so he's got this year and 2 more years if they pick up his 5th-year option, which I don't know why they wouldn't.
Right.
Ritter had 18 pass attempts.
Right, that's what I'm saying. They're not going to be able to get away with that every game, but I think they can in some. So it's going to be hot and cold. Pitts probably stays in my lineup for the most part. I'd be okay with benching who they got next. Green Bay? Is that what that says?
Yep.
Yeah.
They got after Fields pretty good, but... So and they're
certainly probably a more competitive team than Carolina.
Right. So I'd roll Drake one more week unless I had an awesome another option.
In Dynasty, you might not have a better option.
Maybe if I picked up Puka, I'll roll Puka.
Yeah.
But because the targets are going to be there.
Yeah, and the Rams are probably playing from behind next week.
Yeah. So all right. Panic on Miles Sanders at all?
A little bit. I wouldn't say a ton, but I definitely thought the Chuba work was a bit more than I thought it was going to be. I mean, Sanders still played more on early downs and goal line, but Chuba got the short yardage and all the third down work. But so again, I thought that Sanders was going to be more involved than he would, and Chuba was going to be less involved. But we'll see how that happens with game script as well too. So I mean, Sanders was banged up in the preseason as well too. So
a little bit.
I'm like 3% panicked.
Yeah, I'd say
6 targets and 18 carries. That stat line looks better than it did watching the game.
Right, and he still got you double-digit fantasy points. Yeah. He not a whole lot of concern. A
the
scotch.
Offensive line.
I'll give you a scotch of concern.
Yeah, 3%, maybe 5.
Yeah,
but again,
I'm sticking with 3.
I'm always concerned about Miles Sanders because he's just so
health-wise
flimsy.
But
how dare you say about the member of the dashboard crew?
He's a flimsy
don't
guy.
worry. Oh, don't worry. The dashboard crew is gonna be growing here in 2 years.
Who's gonna need to stop on the way to the dashboard concert because something's wrong? You know what I mean?
Chuba got
Miles Sanders.
Chuba gets all the third down work with 8 third down snaps there.
But Miles did play more so in the 2-minute drill. So again,
I think there's room for Miles to take even more back from
exactly.
this.
This could be. It's too early to tell here, but you know what I mean.
All right, let's go next. Jacksonville, Indianapolis. Christian Kirk panic. Played a possible 37 of 38 snaps in 11 personnel, but only 6 of 21 in 12 personnel, and none of the 11 snaps in 13 or 22.
Just really quick here, I wish I had more Calvin Ridley shares.
Oh, my God.
My God.
Well, indeed, I just got to check my notes here. Let's see.
We need a legal cam. A legal pad cam.
I got 2 pads here. Flipping.
Just type the shit in on the computer.
Calvin Ridley did indeed not forget how to catch. All right, there we go. There was
stupid.
I posted a fucking stupid tweet, and the amount of people who were like appalled that he hasn't played football in a year. But motherfucker, you thought he forgot how to catch? The only possible thing you could say about Calvin Ridley is maybe he might get injured from not playing in a while. You think my man just forgot how to catch the ball? He went out there. You look like an idiot.
Well, you know he had a bad broad jump.
Right.
Yeah,
just completely so dumb.
Yeah, Kirk,
so dumb.
Kirk definitely has to be.
Panic meter might be the highest on Christian Kirk right now. And there was a little bit of that in the preseason, and I was like, preseason, take it for what it is. And it's week 1, but we're down under like a threshold of snap share that we haven't seen. This is a guy who had 5-6 targets in a ton of fucking games last year.
Yeah, the fact that he was
Zay Jones
he wasn't in 2 wide receiver sets is a pretty crazy.
He was in 6 of 21 and 12, which means that's your 2 wide receivers. So Zay and Ridley are out there, and then none of the 11 snaps in 13 or 22.
Crazy.
So, that's just a decent amount of snaps. A guy that it's as good as Christian, which is wild that he was so good last year, and Zay's just getting the nod in the two wide receiver sets. Now they're gonna play a decent amount of 3.
Yeah, I would say they're probably going to be 3 more so than
and Calvin and Kirk's gonna have his games. Just pretty worried here. My panic. This is the highest panic level I have of a player who I've got good faith in as a good player. I don't know how that rotation's gonna bode in his favor. And week 1, not good.
Yeah.
So I don't think you obviously can't sell Christian Kirk. And I don't know that I would necessarily say buy Christian Kirk. He's got a contract with the Jags. We just got to see how this usage works out. I played Christian Kirk this week instead of I think I could have played Dalvin or I forget who the other player was, but I played Christian Kirk thinking, hey, Colts, we don't know, and he's out of the lineup for sure. You can't put Christian Kirk in the lineup next week, right? Got to be out. All right, so a little bit of panic meter on Christian Kirk there.
Looks like, speaking of the Jags defense, looks like ETN still good at football.
He is indeed still good at football. No panic meter on ETN. The Tank Bigsby hype. He got the touchdown at the end, which fucking Trevor Lawrence could have ran that in if he wanted to. And then ETN comes right back, says not so fast. There was another big play that ETN could have had where Trevor just missed him in receiving wise. ETN just absolutely out there kicking wieners in. So Tank had a Tank had a costly fumble and a tip ball intercepted. So I Tank still very much, in my heart. But this is what I was talking about when I tweeted that out and was saying, I don't understand where all this, Travis, that was his rookie season, man. And he crushed. Yeah. And there are certainly going to be games. We know that the Jaguars want to have another guy in the mix.
Yeah, and I'm not saying Tank Bigsby's dead. I'm just saying
certainly not.
I think that ETN hate was a bit.
It was crazy.
Yeah, was a
crazy.
Bit much.
I was right, though. I don't want to be dependent on Tank Bigsby to start. I like having him. He's a good player.
Who wanted to be dependent on him starting?
Well, I just said I wouldn't be expecting to start Tank Bigsby.
No,
I don't even. I mean, he's pretty far away from standalone value for me.
He could. He
could, but it's not any. I don't think it's coming in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, it could happen fast though. I mean, it could. He gets a couple of good runs under his belt. He looks, he's just a rookie. But Tank. No threat to ETN as of now. ETN looked good. Colts, I thought that was a pretty good game, actually. Better than I expected. Anthony Richardson didn't look absolutely
Imagine if they had JT.
Right. JT.
Oh, my gosh.
JT could have very much helped that game.
What a stupid owner.
Really, what you're seeing from Anthony Richardson as Pittman is all you need to see from Ritter and fucking Drake London, right?
Right.
Who thought Pittman was still good?
That's weird.
Who would have told you that?
Hey, we'll take away that one play. What did he do?
Well, take away everybody's one.
Take away an 83-yard touchdown, right? On a screen? Wild.
Yeah.
Was it 8? Right. It might not have been that long. He doesn't have
it was long.
Pretty long.
It was long. All right. Next guy on the panic meter here, Antonio Gibson. Level of panic here.
I haven't looked at this one yet.
Strong, because everybody was
B-Rob was
taking Gibson over B-Rob.
Was definitely getting a lot more of the. I mean, he ran more routes than Gibson did.
He did everything.
Way more. I don't know. Is that the box score right there?
19-3 in terms of carries.
Right. Yeah. I mean, just they were back to back. I said I'll take whichever one's cheaper. I liked Antonio Gibson coming into this year. And again, next week we could see a complete 50-50 split. I don't. Who the hell knows what happens? I have no idea, but panic meter is certainly high. I played Gibson in one league because I like the matchup.
Yeah, same.
And he's on the bench for sure until otherwise. I thought what was going to come in, and there was just going to be check downs, passing games, screen games, all run to him. Robinson comes out and just dominates in most facets. 25 snaps, 17 routes run. 43 snaps and 18 routes run for Robinson. Did not see 2 targets and 1 target for Gibson. Didn't see any of that coming. 3 carries for Gibson.
Yeah.
So
same amount of carries as Chris Rodriguez.
Right. Panic meter is not quite as high as Christian Kirk because I think you have more invested in Kirk at this point. But Gibson, panic meter high, got to be out of the lineup, right?
Yeah.
Other than that, let's get to our last one here.
James Conner.
James Conner, baby, doing what you need him to do. Not great, but fine.
I just still would monitor. I would have a Keontae Ingram on the watch list because I don't know if Connor's going to make it through 17 games of that.
But the Cardinals didn't look terrible.
And Dobbs looked serviceable.
Serviceable, yeah. And
I mean, like you said, I think they win the game with Kyler.
Yeah.
But
I think Kyler.
I think there's no reason to be panicking with Dobbs. I mean, he can run. He's been in that offense. He's been in the building for 2 weeks, so you got to think he's going to build up some more rapport with those guys.
And Cardinals came in, and I don't know if Jonathan Gannon's the long-term answer, but he's a good defensive coach. Came in there, got their defense playing good. I like what their front office did in the draft this last year. They just seem to be kind of trending in the right direction. And I know I talked to Big Co right before the game started, and he was, crushing the Cardinals, and he was like, they're tanking, and I was like, that's a national. Who's tanking on the Cardinals? You think the coaching staff's tanking? You think the players on the field are fucking tanking?
No.
Maybe by week 6 or 8, when you're just getting the shit kicked out of you every week, and you know you're not doing anything.
Yeah,
maybe at that point there's a little less give a shit.
Week
but
one,
week 1,
against a winnable game against the Commanders,
right? So. Shout out to the Cardinals. We kind of talked about it on the Patreon episode right before the season started. I didn't think they would be as bad as advertised, and long season. Well, if they can win a couple games and get Kyler back, be right in the mix of not being awful. Certainly didn't come out as the number one team in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes for me. I don't think, right? Or still number one in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes.
Yeah, I think so. Who would be your number one?
I don't know. Maybe the Bears.
2 years in a row. They looked worse than they did last year, for sure. That was
not good. I mean, the Texans could certainly be there too, but that would be by default. The Cardinals would accidentally get.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, the Texans. Oh my gosh! Could you imagine if the Cardinals get 1 and 2?
Yeah, I don't know.
Just draft Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. and just say.
Right. Say whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
We're chilling.
Yeah, and then you can get and then whatever you can get for
Kyler, or trade down. Like, hey, we're sticking with Kyler. We're going to move down to Caleb, which you probably wouldn't do, but just theoretically, you're in good shape. So last but not least, alluded to it, and we'll wrap up with this: Chicago Bears offense panic meter.
Pretty panicked.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not panicking about any individual player, but they just haven't figured anything out on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely not bull junk. That's not bull junk. That's a panic meter.
Yeah, and then just these. I'm looking at these, the participation here. Just Dubs was tied for third in snaps.
Oh, Dubs.
Yeah,
and he still had 2 touchdowns.
Packers wise, I mean, I feel good. And Romeo limited, like I'm my 14th round Dubs, loving Romeo. Romeo loves love. All right, and Love loves Romeo. So let's just get that out of the way. Let's get a healthy Romeo and see how good that season could be.
Musgrave had a good. He's 4 for 50.
Musgrave, drop that S.
Yep, that's why I said Musgrave.
He did look good. It could be a waiver wire pickup there. Should have had a touchdown.
She had 5 snaps for the Packers this week.
Who's that? Tell me.
Used to wear number 14.
Oh,
navy
Clifford.
blue and white.
The Clifford
had a carry.
But on the Bears side of things, man, I read a stat where Justin Fields didn't throw a ball in the air or had 3 passes that were over 10 yards in the air.
Yeah.
Now, there were some plays out there where Justin Fields looked good, where he made some good decisions. He threw the ball pretty well, and he ran around. He does what he does. But everything else was a check down to the running back or a tight end in the flat, and it was like, this is awful, like just awful. He's holding the ball forever. I don't know how much of it is. I didn't have access to the all 22s today, so I couldn't zoom out, see what the route concepts and everything was. But just from the baseline watch of the broadcast view, it's like, man, this is not good. Like it was pretty ugly to watch. I think panic meter is pretty high for Bears offense right off the rip. DJ Moore, 2 catches. Darnell Mooney with the only touchdown of the game and the only real fantasy points of the game from receiver position. Komet,
Mooney, baby.
7 targets. I love Mooney. I think he's great. That's probably going to be up and down. It was just like we saw it in the preseason. Everybody got hyped about it. It was 2 screens.
Yeah.
And that's what they lived on. And it was just like they came back and were kind of doing some of that and a lot of checkdowns to the backs. And it was just like, man, it's just not great, you know?
Speaking of checkdowns to the backs.
Roshan, baby.
Roshan.
I loved it. He looked great. And I was a little bit in trashy cleanup, mop-up area. You didn't see a whole lot of him.
But he was still playing. He played way more third downs. He's bigger than Herbert.
Yeah.
He's the best.
Looked good.
He's the best pass protector they have.
Right. So I wheels up for Roshan maybe a little earlier than expected. Now next week, we don't know how it goes. He might get, but I thought there might be a buy low window to start with Roshan, and right off the rip, I think I'd be going in hoping for a down game somewhere in the next 1 or 2 that he doesn't get quite as much and try to acquire Roshan.
Yeah.
What I saw there was great. Whether or not it's Fields and Eberflutz at the helm for very long over there, TBD. Now, Fields fantasy quarterback wise is always going to be just fine.
Yeah.
Because of the rushing upside is so he's dynamic with those legs, but it's like you got to be able to sit in that pocket and throw the ball. You got to be able to use those legs when you need to use the legs and not depend on using the legs, which is, you know, we've seen all the quarterbacks that seemingly that you had question marks and now have staying power. You've seen them do that.
Yeah, but even you saw that with Richardson a bit. He ran a 4.4, but he was still scrambling,
trying
still with
to
his
play
eyes
the position.
downfield. Exactly.
Right, and it just seems like Fields either holding the ball for a while and then just waiting for everything to clear out and take off. I don't know if he's not seeing it. I don't know if the call isn't good. Those guys, all the guys that have been the Hurts and the Lamars and and now Anthony Richardson have all gotten put into good situations, good systems that play to their strengths and weaknesses and let them grow and develop, gain confidence. I'm not sure we have seen that yet from Getsy and Fields.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? You know, I think it might be the more we're talking about this, the more and more I'm just like, yeah, I don't know if Justin Fields is long for the Bears, and that's unfortunate for him. It's just I don't know that he meshes well with whatever's going on there because I mean, he's not part of their. He wasn't part of their
draft.
Yeah, exactly. Ryan Poles didn't draft him. Matt Eberflus didn't draft him.
They had an option to get out this year if they wanted to.
They did, but I mean,
Maybe they didn't love those options.
Exactly. Like you know what I mean. I feel like Fields has more upside. Well, I guess you could take. I don't know if he's got the same. You could say that him and Richardson are probably, in terms of upside, probably.
How much
darn
difference
close.
would it make if you put Richardson in the same position as Fields in that same system? You know,
but I don't know.
You could fuck him
because
up too.
It could, but I think at the same time that Richardson's again, he's scrambling to throw the ball. Still, he's not just going through. All right, read 1, read 2, tuck and run.
Right, or check it down to the running back. Everything for Richardson was on the right side, but that's first fucking start. That's start 1. You got Jordan Love on the other side, who did some of what Fields was doing, checking it down. But that's start 2 for Jordan Love, really.
Yeah.
You know, and that's start how many for Fields? You know, obviously, Love has been sitting for a while, but did Love look absolutely awesome? No, but he operated how he needed to operate and got it done when he needed to get it done. And was Aaron Jones great? Yes, Aaron Jones was great. But he's out there without Watson, without a full strength Romeo Doubs, with a rookie tight end and a rookie. Basically, Jalen Reed, your number 1 guy, was a rookie slot player. You're out there with Wicks starting on the outside. So Aaron Jones and what was your best option, and it is going to continue to be your best option for most of the season. He's great.
Well, let's see how that hammy is going.
Right, but
he pulled up. I didn't like that.
So just looking at those 2 situations, that definitely not settled at all. With I'm not playing a whole. Claypool needs to not be on the field. He's a liability.
Mm-hmm. But what else? I mean, who else are you going to roll out there?
Yeah, Tyler Scott.
I don't know.
I
guess.
Just
you know what I mean.
Somebody else.
Jones.
Somebody that cares. I don't know. He just looks dejected.
I guess you just roll. You could roll some 12 personnel and just have Komet and
Equinemius still around.
I don't know. Probably.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, so just concerned with the Bears a little bit here.
Yeah, not a lot to say positively about.
Week
the
2
Bears.
could be completely different, but again, we're week
playing
1
Tampa,
right.
so we'll see what happens.
Right, but we didn't talk about that game, but that was
that was certainly
Tampa,
a bit of a surprise.
Tampa looked decent. Baker, Chippy Baker, out there.
Yeah,
Mike fucking Evans.
Mike Evans. Sure.
Hey, I got one more guy. I know we already covered this game, and I'm not sure exactly that we talked too much about it, but Najee Harris, is that someone that we should be panicking on? Because
had a 24-yard rush, so
right.
But it wasn't 25.
Almost
so I
broke
don't think
that
it's
explosive play narrative right in half.
It's got to be 25 to be explosive.
No,
run.
I don't. Again, I think I'm throwing most of the usage of this game out because it was just he ran the ball 10 times.
There's all these reports and all
whatever.
That,
I've never seen the media push harder for a running back who the team is telling you that Warren's not taking his job.
Yeah.
Like, yes, Warren should be on third down. Warren's a good player. Warren should mix in. We should keep Najee healthy, just like every other fucking team in the league. Look at how efficient was Jalen Warren this week.
2 yards per fucking carry. Do you think that anybody mentioned that?
Not a single person.
No, it's just the usage.
Just the catches. Just the catches when they were down
yards
30.
Per carry.
Yeah.
When they were down 30. And why the hell would you put Najee back out on that field when you are getting beat up like that? And he got smashed in the beginning of that game by Fred Warner. And
a lot of guys are going to get smashed here by Fred Warner.
He came back and had a nut, and then they're like, well, it was a run in the 2 minute where Najee broke it. And it's like, fuck, I don't give a shit when the run was. He's, one under that, but, no, not concerned. And it's not, again, I don't hate Jalen Warren at all. I think he's a good player. I think he should be out on the field more, and you should rotate him in. He's not taking anything. He's not taking the backfield from Najee Harris.
I'm saying that's a 60-40 ceiling for Warren.
Right. I agreed. So, no, I don't think so. That's week 2 does. It stinks that they got the Browns coming in, who just also have a pretty aggressive attacking defense. But division rival always a little different than somebody coming in from the NFC who you don't see often.
Little bummed about Kenny. I thought he was gonna.
Yeah, he shaped up a little bit in there. I think Kenny's going to be just fine.
Yeah, losing Deontay and Pat obviously doesn't help as well.
Yeah, he was sluggish to start, a little off. Then he got comfortable, made some good throws. The Pat throw touchdown was good. He made some other good throws, made some other good reads.
I'm looking forward to going back and watching some condensed games this week.
Yeah, no, not worried. So let's jump over to the waiver wire and we'll get out of here. We've gone way too long already.
Typical.
Let's it's week 1.
Okay.
And we even skipped
so out of ordinary.
We didn't even talk about the
skipped
Vikings
a bunch of games.
Bucks game.
Yeah.
You got to tune into Patreon
skip
on
the
Wednesday.
Raiders. Skip the Saints, Titans. So we're gonna hit those on the Patreons on Wednesday. Also answer any questions you have on the Patreon for the patrons. Let's go hit some waiver wire talk.
We didn't talk about Raiders Broncos either.
We did not. Gainwell, Kelly, and Kyron probably at the top of the list for running back ads, right?
Yeah.
And where do you slot Justice Hill and the Gus Bus in? I think I'm taking Gus over Hill.
Melvin Gordon could come into play here, too.
I'm not worried about Melvin Gordon.
He could. I
guess he could.
Been demoted already. So I would play him third, but you never know. He could.
I guess they referenced him in terms of maybe not bringing in a free agent.
That's what it was more than anything else.
You gotta add Gus. You gotta add Gus, and if you can't get Gus, add Justin.
I think I'm gonna see what
just
happens.
like 5 years too early on Justice Hill. I think it was maybe.
Yeah. Whoops. I don't know. I think I might fuck around and get a little Justice Hill action. I think he's a little bit more dynamic than Gus is, and I think he's a better pass catcher as well too. So
they also had Keaton Mitchell from Eastern Carolina, who is on IR, who they got a little buzz, could come back, so he could mix in, pass down, be kind of like a Justice Hill. So you'd take Justice over Gus? I think I'd go Gus over Justice.
It's close. It's really close. I just think I'm just gonna go with a little bit more explosive.
Get one
guy.
of them.
Yeah, and then I think the rest are kind of handcuffs. I know Kelly was a handcuff, but Kelly had standalone value here week 1 and a handcuff.
And it's not like it's a blowout
right.
either.
They were
right, but there must have been an injury that must have happened.
What?
Not at the end of the game with Eckler. That's why Josh Kelly mixed in so much.
No, they just mixed in. They were crushing.
It was a lot.
They ran the shit out of the ball. They're going to be balanced. That's what they're going to do.
They were unbalanced. They ran more than they passed. That's never happens.
Well, I mean, they were close to balance. They kept the game close. They were winning. They could have won.
Well, it's never unbalanced in the rushing department, like towards the rushing side.
Other than that, I think the running back pickups, Jalen Warren, sure, if he's out there, probably worth an ad, just in case. Sean Tucker, if he's out there.
Yeah.
White, we didn't talk about that game, but White not efficient in his first outing out there.
Man, the two running backs I've been high on all offseason just came out and laid 2 stinkers.
Who's that?
White and Akers.
Yeah. Week 1, things happen. I mean, Chase stunk this week, The
whole Bengals offense was terrible.
I'm just, week 1's always weird. So don't get
Josh Dobbs had more passing yards than Joe
Burrow. Yeah. Tyler Algier, God forbid, standalone value, and God forbid anything happens to Bijan.
Fucking league winner.
Probably out there in some leagues, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then Spears played all the third downs, basically.
He played more than Henry did, I think. So
Spears, I think, these are other running back ads if you have space that are a little bit more handcuffy. And then Jerome Ford, I thought, looked good as a Chubb backup.
And re-mentioning Roschon.
And then exactly, Roschon would probably,
But I think a lot of those the last couple of guys we mentioned are guys that you can maybe you have Dobbins, probably guys that you can don't even have to put a bid in for. Just probably some guys you might be able to scoop up after the waiver.
Maybe Algier might get scooped.
I think Algier, but I think a lot of people
probably not Ford or maybe not Spears, or maybe if you have Henry, you might take Spears, or Chubb. If you have a spot, you might take Ford. But other than that, I would agree. Let's go wide receivers then. I'm not really going to talk about quarterbacks as far as waiver wire pickups.
I'm not either.
And dynasty running back pickups, it's all those guys would apply, but it's pretty. If you're anywhere near a big bench,
or more than 10 teams.
Right.
These guys
it's pretty bleak out there.
It is very bleak out there
for pickups, and that's the way I prefer to play dynasty. I would prefer not to have a waiver wire that
I went to go look Sunday morning about Jaleel McLaughlin, and he was owned everywhere already, and I'm just like, Jesus.
Right.
Maybe Isaiah Spiller in FFPC if Eckler's hurt.
Potentially, he's certainly out there. He's certainly out there.
Yeah.
Maybe probably going to leave him off unless I got a lot of spots. But he didn't look bad. But I think you need a for sure injury to Eckler to want to do that. Wide receiver wise, Puka, number 1.
Mm-hmm. You put Puka and Tutu on there.
I'd put Puka ahead of Tutu, but Tutu.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Zay Jones. We talked about it with Christian Kirk.
Yeah, you almost have to.
Playing all the 2 wide receiver sets for the most part. Had a nice touchdown. I don't know if it'll last, but a lot of 3 wide receiver leagues out there where he might be a guy that you'd stick on there. Bobby Woods, I think is a nice ad. Slayton played a ton of snaps. I know it didn't go well for the Giants, but he played a lot of snaps. That's a deeper league kind of ad there. But if Romeo Doubs is out there for any reason, I think you got to add him.
Yeah, you guys mentioned before we got on Jacoby as well too.
Jacoby Myers,
guy. Obviously he's got his bell rung. So, but he was having a huge game.
Yeah, I mean redraft edition for sure.
Oh, Lil Jordan Humphreys and who's the other guy for the Broncos who played over Mims a bunch? We didn't talk about that game, but maybe those guys could be dynasty ads if you were trying to find. Some dynasty ads.
Brandon Johnson.
The Mario Douglas.
Douglas for sure.
Yeah. And Kendrick Bourne.
That's a dynasty ad. Right. Douglas.
Yeah. And Kendrick Bourne's probably available.
Yeah, he's available in some dynasties, I'm sure. Both of those guys, nice. I think good ads. I think
even Boutte as well too. I mean, he got 4 targets.
By those late drafts, nobody wanted Boutte because there was kind of rumors of maybe cut and yada yada. So he could be out there in some leagues too. I thought Shaheed. Worth a spot there. He was showing out a little bit.
We talked about him during the.
I couldn't fit. Like, who the fuck is the number he changed?
Yeah, 22.
22. Yeah. Like,
what's going on? Jamal Williams. Obviously, he doesn't play running back, but they're going to greatly benefit from getting AK and Miller back out there. Jamal Williams is the most okay running back in the league. Didn't love that signing. He got a ton of hype because a lot of touchdowns. He's fine
because he ran a ton of the balls in from the 5-yard line.
Right. But they needed help. I thought Shaheed was, a cog in the wheel for them, and I think his role could continue to expand there for Shaheed. That would be an ad for me. Other than that, it's maybe some rookies if you're Reed or Mingo or Rice if they're out there and you want to add.
in your redraft.
Leagues.
Redraft. Some dynasty ads. The Jets guys, Brownlee and Gibson, Brownlee was inactive tonight. Gibson's active.
Not nearly as fun right now without
Rodgers.
No.
Yeah, but they're in this game here.
Not that fun, but good organization, and they made the team. And you're just looking for guys that
they got a lot of love
really,
on Hard Knocks too,
especially in Dynasty.
Yeah, they look good all off season.
Calvin Austin.
Yeah.
Nice little Dynasty.
Allen Robinson, yeah, for sure.
Allen Robinson.
We mentioned him earlier, but this might be a pull-out separate show. So, if we mentioned some of those and didn't get him. But Allen Robinson, yes, agreed. Some tight end ads then. I think Chig, who didn't perform, but he ran a ton of routes. He was out there on, almost every chance he could be out there. He was out there unless it was a pure running down. Then they put in, I forget what the other tight end's name is. Wesco, who's a good blocker. But Chig is out there and has the opportunities. So
Chig's about to get dropped, and then you can pick him up.
There's an ad there. Laporta was good for a rookie. Ertz, a lot of run. My boy McBride, little bit of a bummer there. But Ertz comes out and ran a lot of routes. Looked all right. Could have had a touchdown potentially. Musgrave could be out there in some redraft.
Musgraves.
And then Logan Thomas in Dynasty could potentially be out there.
Yeah.
7 targets. Has always been good when healthy. Just has had the last 2 or 3 years of just a cluster of terrible leg injuries. Irv Smith, we mentioned him on the show.
Got to give love for my boy Jawan running the same amount of routes as Olave as well too. So
right. And then Hunter Henry for me. I think he's going to be a constant for that Patriots as long as he's healthy. We've seen him and Mac have a good connection. That offense all of a sudden looks competent again. Imagine that.
Yeah.
With an actual OC out there. Mac looked calm. Mac looked collected. Kind of was struggling a little earlier with some wet balls going all over the place, and then comes back and you get a more veteran receiver in Boutte dragging that foot, and that drive goes on, and potentially you could get a dub. So.
Durham Smythe last time.
Durham Smythe.
Durham Smythe in the Dynasty ads there, because that could be a guy who's out there. Was on the field for every snap for the Dolphins. Could have had a touchdown. They had a little 2 drag overs with him and I believe Craycraft, and Craycraft was a deeper guy. They were both open. Smythe could have had one out there a ton. 7 targets, most route run on the team. So. Just a nice little stash.
That Garrett Wilson catches.
Also, Cade Otton as well too.
Yeah, Cade Otton played a ton. Not much to speak of, but
played all but 2 snaps.
And deeper Dynasty, Trey Palmer has looked like he has made his way into the third guy. And caught a touchdown.
Well, they don't have anyone else there.
Right.
But that's not a knock on him. That's not a knock on him at all. It's the other guys.
Yeah, he's looked good through the preseason.
Yeah.
So bigger ad there. So. Let's wrap this thing up. Let's get out of here. Great first week. We'll catch you next time. We'll be here every Monday, 9:15. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment below, all that jazz, and keep coming, keep showing up. We got the $5 holler in the Discord. We're going to be talking more games over there. Maybe a little preview, answering questions. Whatever you got over there, $5 holler. Come check us out. We're doing at least one a month. Thursday night hangs in the Discord, watching games together. You get access to the Discord. You get access to some rankings. We're going to be updating those all season long, as rookie and Dynasty. And then, as we talked about with the schedule, we got a nice little planned out for the next 4 or 5 weeks, and then we'll be kind of repeating all that stuff a few times in the off season. So we appreciate you. Good to have Matt here. No Big D this week. I don't know if we'll catch him next week. I think we might have maybe Austin Abbott in next week, and maybe Matt back if he's here. So appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you on week 2.
Peace.